We are child advocates fighting for youth equity and justice, and our story is about the children we serve.
I never wanted any child to be ignored or to be less than who they could be. That's a pretty big commitment that all of us have here at Child Advocates, and frankly, it's been the staff. We've had consistently really the best people in the child welfare system working here, working all out, giving it their all every day.
For more than 40 years, we have helped children in the child welfare system find a home safe from abuse and neglect. They are children like a girl we will call Katie.
Any type of abuse that happened, it was always really, really hard. Because I'm not a mean person. I'm very nice. And I can't take somebody hitting me or yelling at me. I'll cry. So, whenever that would happen, I wouldn't be able to cry because then I would be perceived as weak. So I never really cried, but I did in my alone time.
We take the lead and break new ground fighting for children like Katie. Our CEO, Cindy Booth, created a program called Direct Representation, the only one of its kind in the state, giving older children in child welfare cases their own free in-house lawyer.
Indiana is one of the few states that does not specifically provide for attorneys for children while they're in the child welfare system.
Rachel Valinsky leads the direct representation team of attorneys and legal support advocates. As a former Marion County public defender for juveniles who won a top state award for her work, Rachel now defends the right for Indiana children in child welfare cases to have an attorney, too.
So the parent who's the abuser, their voice is elevated through a lawyer. And of course, I believe in that. That's procedural justice. They should have fairness in the system too. It's just that they shouldn't be the only one who has that fairness in the system. The child should have it too. I just think we have a flawed system where we are so busy trying to protect and save children that we completely have discounted them from their own lives.
Katie felt no one was really listening to what she wanted for her life until Rachel became her attorney.
And then as soon as she came on, I was getting every court date. Every time it started, the Zoom meetings, everything, and I would go and I'd sit there and she would talk for me and I'd listen to what she's saying and she wouldn't leave one detail out. She would say everything I wanted her to say, but she's that adult figure that I've always looked for, or that mother figure in a way. And I know whenever I don't need her anymore, the case is closed, I know she's always going to be there if I need to talk to her.
Child Advocates attorneys change children's lives, and the organization breaks new ground with other legal services, too. We introduced mediation into the Marion County child welfare system years ago. Our mediation attorneys help all parties in a child's case resolve conflicts.
Everyone leaves the case on better footing when they sit around a table and come up with an agreement instead of going to trial.
And that can help children get out of the child welfare system and into a safe and permanent home sooner. Child Advocates attorneys also specialize in services for immigrant children in child welfare cases statewide.
As far as we know, we're the only agency in Indiana who has this particular focus.
We serve youth like Pedro, a 19-year-old immigrant in foster care for several years after facing problems at home.
They're helping me out right now with my citizenship, getting my work permit, stuff that I didn't really think about that I was going to get.
Pedro was once a child afraid and abused in a new land, fearing he had nowhere to turn.
I could be in the streets. You never know. I never know what could have happened if I wouldn't have their help.
We've given him a voice. We've given him choices, which is really, I don't think, what he ever felt like he had before.
Child Advocates attorneys also have years of experience advising court-appointed special advocates and guardians ad litem who represent children's best interest in court. And we all have the same goal for vulnerable children.
The hope is that they are just better suited to live a long, healthy, successful life, and there's not such a disparity between this group of youth and youth who are not in the system.
Child Advocates took the lead in fighting racial disparities in the child welfare system more than a decade ago.
Biases were creating an overrepresentation of Black African American children. Biases were leaving white children in dangerous situations.
We have hosted race equity workshops to address biases for child welfare staff and the courts. And today, our staff of race equity facilitators host Interrupting Racism for Children workshops for the whole community without blame or shame. Attendees include educators, police officers, business leaders, and youth. Jill English, our Chief of Community Equity and Inclusion, shares one of many stories about the workshop's impact.
And I actually had a parent call me one day and say, my child's teacher called me crying because my son went to get a Band-Aid, and when the Band-Aids were open, they were multi-skin tone. And the teacher had bought those Band-Aids as a result of being in our workshop. She called crying because she saw that child put that Band-Aid on and point to his arm and say, "She sees me."
And our impact and commitment for children has expanded. Our newest advocacy program focuses on Hoosier children who face serious mental health or behavioral challenges. Our family liaisons help their families apply for a child mental health wraparound program, if eligible, from the Indiana Division of Mental Health and Addiction. The agency chose us as its first single statewide access site for families.
We have the best jobs in the world. We have the opportunity to connect with families across the entire state and catch them and intervene early before something devastating were to happen to that family, and truly change lives and save them even.
We are child advocates fighting for equity, justice, and wellness for tens of thousands of vulnerable children over the last 4 decades.
It doesn't matter how far we have to go for that child. We just do it. We keep going. What keeps us going is that we go from the heart.
But we can't do it without people like you, those who support our work and the children we serve.
Thank you for caring about our children.
Thank you for being a child advocate.
Thank you for your compassion.
Thank you!